Hey guys, and welcome back to ScarletSprites. So if you remember a little while back, I did the G.I. Joe arcade cabinet that has, well, G.I. Joe inside of it, Sunset Riders, Turtles, and The Simpsons. And I never went back and got a Jamma Switcher for this. So right now, all four boards are inside of that cabinet. And if you want to switch to play a different game other than G.I. Joe, you have to manually swap the Jamma harness over to a different board. It's fine. Jamma switchers are really expensive, as I've found out. So that's why I never invested the extra money into that cabinet. Now, Smash TV, on the other hand, is a different story. Now, there's only two boards inside of this machine, one of which consistently works, and that would be Total Carnage. No problems there whatsoever. Boots in place fine every time I power it on. Smash TV, on the other hand, that is a very temperamental board for whatever reason. It has always given me problems. If you remember back when I did the video for Smash TV, when I finished up the machine, I had Brad Raydell look at the board. He swapped out some caps on there, some new chips, and just kind of went over the board for me. And when I got it back from him, it worked great for a couple months. And then I was back to where I started with the board resetting, just doing some really weird audio things, and it's just all over the place. So a few weeks ago, I pulled the Smash TV board out of the cabinet. I reburned an entire new set of ROM chips for this game, and then flipped it over, and I touched up the solder on the entire bottom of the board. I went back through and reflowed everything so that it was fresh. When I put it back in the cabinet, I had some issues with it doing similar things again, just rebooting on me. However, I swapped it over to the Astro City cabinet and it ran fine. So now at this point, it's down to maybe one of two things: the power supply or the Jamma harness inside of the Smash TV cabinet, which is a real piece of junk. And don't even get me started on that. I don't know why it is so difficult to buy a quality Jamma harness for a new machine. That's a whole nother video topic. So at this point, the power supply inside of Smash TV is brand new, and Total Carnage runs fine off of it, and it's putting out the proper voltages. So I have to think that the power supply inside the machine is fine. So at this point, I made the decision that I'm going to rewire the entire machine. And I found a harness that's a little bit better. Retro Ralph recommended it to me. I still had to do some modifications on it. Again, I don't know why you can't just buy a heavy gauge, decent Jamma harness that has all the connections on it. Just populate that bitch. Anyways, so I rewired the entire cabinet and Smash TV works. But now I'm back to this whole dilemma of, do I really want to be fooling around inside of my Smash TV cabinet, swapping the Jamma harness back and forth, because the board's temperamental as it is, and I want to leave well enough alone. So at this point, I decided maybe it's actually worth it to buy a two-way switcher for the Smash TV cabinet to go back and forth between Smash TV and Total Carnage without manually swapping the harness. So I had heard good things about RiddledTV, so that's where I went to get my two-way switcher. Now I did end up getting the two-way switcher with an extender, so that cost me $100 shipped, which, it's not great, but it's also not terrible. On the other hand, if you look at the six-way switcher, which I think I would need for the Konami cabinet, that's easily going to run me up over $200 until I'm done with the main board and the extenders that I would need to run through the cabinet. So that's still off the table. But the two-way switcher, and for the situation that I found myself in with Smash TV and wanting to make sure that I'm not inside digging around doing manual swaps and fooling with the board in there, this seems worth it, and I can kind of hopefully just shut the door on the problems that I've been having with the cabinet. So credit to RiddledTV, I had this in my hands only a few days after placing the order, less than a week, which is really great. It's a solid feeling piece of hardware. You can see the main board here. This is the bottom where your Jamma harness plugs in, and then your first game board goes in at the top here. And then you have this ribbon and power cable that run to the extender that plugs into the second board. So overall, this is a pretty straightforward setup, and that's really kind of it. Now, there are jumpers on the board that let you ground player 1 and player 2 button 6. There's varying reasons as to why you might want to do that. And there is a 4-pin connector on the board for a stereo connection if you need that. But aside from those two things, not a whole lot else going on here. So I'm pretty excited to give this a shot. But curiosity started getting the better of me, and before I could just throw this into the Smash TV cabinet, I started wondering, does this work with MiSTer? And could I throw this in the Astro City? And maybe that's not such a bad idea to have all this in front of me and a known working setup and test it out on that first. So I'm going to go ahead and give that a shot with NBA Jam Tournament Edition and the MiSTerCade. All right, so again, pretty simple and straightforward setup here. I've got MiSTerCade plugged into the main PCB of the Jamma Switcher and the satellite running to NBA Jam Tournament Edition. So I will say, on my first outing here, I had a little bit of difficulty getting the MiSTerCade plugged into the main component here of the Jamma Switcher. It is a really tight fit, and I thought maybe that was just the MiSTerCade or the connector on the main board here, but I had the same problem then with the satellite going on to the NBA Jam Tournament Edition board. So the connectors on the Jamma Switcher are really, really tight. But I did get everything connected here and was able to finally throw the power switch, and everything looks good here. We've got MiSTerCade booting up. That is the first thing that's connected to the main board, so that's what we would expect. And then holding down player 1 and player 2 simultaneously, the directions say for a second and a half. I did not time this. Should switch this over to NBA Jam Tournament Edition, and it does. It's interesting, the Jamma Switcher actually makes a little clicking noise, so you can hear it switch over when you're going back and forth between the two boards. The instructions also note that only one board is powered at a time, and you can see that as the MiSTerCade switches over, it loses power and the lights on NBA Jam light up, and then vice versa. When I switch from NBA Jam, that goes dark and MiSTerCade lights back up. So overall, the Jamma Switcher here is working as expected on a working setup. So now that we know this works and my curiosity for using it with the MiSTerCade has been satisfied, it's time to go ahead and install this inside of the Smash TV cabinet. Now, I've got another small issue, even with the new Jamma harness. And again, I don't know why these things... Make them long enough, put the connectors on them, use all the buttons, use the proper CRT monitor connector. I don't know why this is so hard. It's not long enough. You can see it's really stretching the length from the control panel to the Smash TV board. Now, obviously, I can move the Smash TV board closer to the control panel, but that's not the point. Anyways, I did a little bit of tidying up of the wires, was able to make this work. I had a hell of a time getting the Jamma Switcher plugged into the Smash TV board, which really made me nervous because the last thing I want to be doing is bending and warping this board at all because it's already so temperamental, but I did get it on there. And then same thing with the satellite connector. And in fact, I ended up clipping the sides of the satellite connector because I could not get this on to Total Carnage, and I was really concerned about the effort that was involved in trying to get this onto the Jamma Edge. But after I clipped the sides and gave myself a little bit more wiggle room, quite literally wiggle room, I was able to get this onto the board. So this is the entire setup. Hopefully I'm done with Smash TV now. I've got the new Jamma harness wired up. I got the Jamma Switcher hooked up to Smash TV as the main board. I got Total Carnage running as a secondary. New power supply. We should be all ready to go. So let's close it up. Give it a shot. And thankfully, no issues here at first power up. Smash TV loads and plays as it should. Holding down both the first and second player start buttons, you can hear that little click inside of the machine, and it switches over to Total Carnage, and that plays fine as well. So overall, I'm very happy with the purchase here from RiddledTV. Those connectors on the device are really, really tight. But, you know, that may have just been me or maybe just dumb luck with the boards. I don't know. But I struggled to get these on to any of the boards that I used them with, which, thinking about it, aside from the MiSTerCade, these are all Midway Williams boards. So I don't know if those edges are a little bit longer than other. I don't know. But I did struggle with it, but there's a solution. Again, I don't know if that's recommended to clip the connector like that, but that's what I did and was able to get it working. And I'm pretty happy to be able to switch back and forth between those two games, because normally when people are over, Smash TV has been working and they've been playing Total Carnage, but it would be nice to be able to switch back and forth between the two and show people that there are two games, in fact, inside this cabinet. Now, as for the Konami, I don't know. I mean, I might spend $100 and then be able to switch between G.I. Joe and Turtles in that machine, or Simpsons, but I don't think I'm going to be getting crazy and, wiring up all four of those. It's just too expensive, way too much investment for what it's worth, at least from my own personal opinion on that. But I don't know. Do you guys think that would be worth it to spend 200 plus just to be able to switch between those boards? I think being able to switch between 1 and 2 options would be pretty good, but $200 to do that for all of those, it just seems excessive. So that's it though for today. Smash TV Total Carnage finally up and running, at least for now. I'm sure there will be another issue with this a few months down the road. As always, thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and join if you'd like to support the channel. And I will catch you all next time. Later, guys.